Hello, everyone. Welcome into our Saturday morning coaches show. I'm Don Julian, and we're talking soccer today. Our guest is Alexi Upton. He's the Wildcats head soccer coach, and he is with us today. And right now, waiting in the wings, so we'll get him on the set in just a moment. We have David Marino is with us, one of the Wildcat soccer players, and a sophomore. So. Get an early appearance on the coach's show. By the time he's a senior, he'll be telling the young ones, hey, I got it all figured out. I'll tell you all about it. So I look forward to talking to David, and we will be talking soccer in just a second. But first of all, let me go ahead and tell you what's going on in the only other sports that are going on right now, and that's Wildcats and Lady Cats basketball. Wildcats basketball is in the Forney ISD tournament. I think they call it the Winter Classic. And they won their pool on Thursday. They beat North Mesquite and also McKinney-Boyd. And so they got into the gold bracket with, it's a 12-team tournament. So there were 4 teams in each of the gold, silver, and bronze brackets. And so they got in there with the best of the best and played Wiley yesterday. And Wiley is ranked number 14 in Class 6A, and they look like it. They are a tremendous team, very athletic, and they shot very, very well. I think they had something like 8 or 9 three-pointers and beat the Wildcats yesterday. I believe it was like 54 to 41 or something like that. It was about a 13-point ball game. I believe that was correct. So today, the Wildcats will be playing in that gold bracket for 3rd place. They'll be playing Lake Highlands, and there will be a venue change. So if you've been going over there to see the Wildcats, probably already aware of this if you were over there yesterday, but there will be a venue change today. The game will be at 5 o'clock, but they've been playing at North Forney, but they will play at Forney High School today. So don't go to North Forney. There'll be some games over there, but it won't be the Wildcats. So the Wildcats playing at Forney High School, 5 p.m., 3rd place in that gold bracket, and they're playing Lake Highlands, which look like they've got a pretty good record, probably equal to ours. So that should be a really, really good basketball game. Lady Cats are in the Edgewood tournament, and they completed pool play last night. They had a huge pool. They were one of 5 teams, so they went 2-2 in pool play. They beat Wills Point, and they beat Kaufman last night. In a ball game by more than 20 points. It was a big win for the Lady Cats. They also, during this tournament, have lost to Gilmer and Edgewood. So 2-2, but they too are playing for 3rd place in that Edgewood tournament, and they'll be playing North Forney, and that'll be at 2:40 this afternoon, and that'll be in the Edgewood High School gym. And so that's the basketball story. And now we have Alexi Upton with us to talk Wildcat soccer. And you've had, what, I guess now a couple of weeks of practice. Mm-hmm. So now I know you had your tryout, so that dominated, I'm sure, that first week. But how did the second week go for you?
Second week went really well for us. It was a time for us to really start developing, getting the system in place and what we want to do going forward, and really start developing that system. And I think the players had a really good week. I think it was a really good building week, team bonding week, where we kind of got together and we, went through drills and just kind of had some fun and started getting into this, spirit of playing our season and getting ready for our season.
Compared to what they were used to, are you making wholesale changes? Is your style different in a lot of ways than what they've had so far?
They played a kind of a 4-3-3 last year, and I played it roughly the same thing. So they understand a lot about where to be and when to be there. But I think defensively I'm a lot more serious about it than they were last year. I really preach myself on not giving up goals. Pride myself on not giving up goals. And then also I'm a big aggressive attacker kind of guy, and they were more possession based last year than I was, or than I am.
Some of the limited soccer knowledge that I have, most of what I know I learn from the coaches because I try to listen when they talk. And so whatever you tell me, that's what I'm going to believe. But I know that a lot of teams use a sweeper approach and then some don't. Are you a sweeper person or not?
No, we play a flat back four.
4-3-3.
Yeah, it's flat, and DJ that's coming on, David, he's one of our center backs, so he's one of the middle and the back four back there. So if it's flat, you don't get penetrated as easy. I mean, if there's a diamond, there's holes in the diamond, and so I think that style is kind of going out of date.
It seems to be.
It's kind of like basketball with the center, it's going to become positionless, and it's kind of like in soccer, so many people flip and switch, change positions. It's becoming kind of positionless. So, but yeah, just. I think the week was really great for us. This is what we needed. We needed a good, solid week of practice. Everybody to start, meshing together and getting along, and I think that worked perfectly for us.
Have they gotten to the point, or maybe it's too early for that, but have they gotten to the point where they're kind of tired of looking around and seeing each other and wish that, there was a team in green or orange or something out there that they could play?
Yeah, they're definitely getting to that point. I mean, we played JV last week, so that was kind of fun. They got to get out and they got to get playing them. JV actually played the girls on Thursday.
Oh,
that was a really good game too. But there's only so many of your, so many other of your friends you can play before you got to actually get out there and play somebody else. So they're definitely ready for the moment.
Well, I admire Joel for I don't know whose idea that was. Perhaps his.
It was Joel's. Yeah.
Well, I admire him for that because it really does, help them to play JV boys and to that kind of skill. If you are used to that kind of skill when you're practicing everything, then maybe a team like a district team, Mount Pleasant or somebody like that, won't be as, especially if they have very, very talented young ladies, and then they've seen some pretty talented athletes coming at them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our JV group is really good. They're going to give a lot of people a run for their money. They're going to have a winning record, definitely. They're a real good group. And Joel came to me. He was like, "Hey, I'm really interested in playing the JV. What would it take to get that happen?" And I was like, "Let's say no more." I go, "We'll make it happen." And they played about 2 20-minute halves, a little small game, but it was a great game. The girls came out of the game. It result that didn't really go the girls' favor. And the girls came out of the game and they were like, "Okay, wow, we still got some work to do." And I think, as much as they were sad or disappointed about it right then, right there, I think it was a really good experience for them because they were like, okay, I still see all the work that we still need to do to be where we want to be. So I think it helped them out a lot.
All right. You were talking about defensive oriented. I can't remember. I'm sure told me, but were you a defensive player yourself?
I was a defensive mid, so I was a midfielder, but I kind of sit in the hole and kind of make sure that nothing bad happens in front of the back four. So it's a spot that I liked as well. In college, I played in the back. I played a defender, and I played center back and left back. So. Just a little bit of everything.
Well, the coach you replaced, I'm not sure about Coach Wiggins and his soccer history much, except I remember he knew the family, the professional player that was from Nacogdoches.
Yeah, Clint Dempsey.
He actually knew his brother better. But I was actually going back to Andy Holt days.
Yeah.
Andy, of course, was a homeboy here, and he was a big-time goal scorer.
He was a goal scorer, yeah.
And in fact, you probably, if you've looked around the records, you've probably seen him all over them.
Yep, he was a goal scorer.
He could put the ball in the net and played college soccer at Mary Hardin Baylor. And so he always liked those offensive players. And not that he didn't like defense. He didn't like a leaky defense either, because it's tough in a soccer game to try to outscore somebody.
Yeah.
So. I'll tell you, Alexi, let's go ahead and take our first internal break here, and we'll be back with more soccer, and we'll also welcome David Marino onto our set, and we'll do that in just a moment. And back here on the Saturday Morning Coaches Show, we've got Alexi Upton with us, and also David Marino is with us as well. And David, you're in that center back position, right?
Sir.
How do you like it back there?
For me, since I've been playing center back pretty much for my whole life since I was a little small kid. So, and I always watched center backs on TV. Like, I don't know if you might recognize some names like Sergio Ramos, Diego Godin. I really like those two players, and I pretty much just started trying to focus on how to look at the game from my perspective as a center back. So I've been working on that.
What is your primary responsibility back in the center? Just you do a lot of communicating with the goalkeeper and stuff, and I guess all of you back there have to talk to each other, right?
Yeah, definitely. Communicating, like Coach emphasizes in practice, he says that we really need to do that, because if there's no communication, then we don't know what to do or what time to do it. So I definitely think that communication is one of the biggest things for me as a center back.
You have a real strong leg, you're going to be doing some kicks out of the goal, or you're going to let the keeper do that? I guess that's up to the coach.
Yeah, that's up to the coach.
Yeah, no, we got both of the football boys, Brenna and Noe Ponce, they came over from football, and both of them are pretty good at taking a goal kick. So I don't think DJ will have to go back there too much and do that. So,
right.
But he's a great player. As a sophomore, he's captain already. He just sets a good example. He's the first one in the door. He's always willing to help. He's always willing to do things right. He's great in the weight room. He acts right all the time. His grades are incredible. He's a model kid for every kid in the program because he just does so many things right. You don't have to ask him twice to ever do anything. And like you were talking about communication, when he's playing in the back, he's a phenomenal communicator. Communicates so well. He might be a little shy, a little nervous right now, but his communication is excellent. He does great, and he's just one of those kids that you always look to and you're like, I don't have to worry about him. Let me focus on somebody else because he's always doing right.
Yeah, you talked about football. I think you've also got Daniel Marino as a soccer player. Now, people might wonder, is this your brother or cousin? Or?
We're actually not related at all.
Oh.
Yes.
All right. So you've been playing all your life since you were very young, I guess?
Yes. Well, my father, here in the City League, he started as a coach, and I think it was like first time I played in the City League, like when I was like 6 years old, I think. And since then, I've just been being coached by my father, and then when I came into middle school, actually, they started the soccer program over there, and it's really cool to see the coaches over there. And since then, it's just.
As a lot of defenders like to kind of sneak up, and make a run, Are you kind of the last one to do that? You kind of I've noticed sometime, like last year, I remember we had it seemed like that player back there in the middle, would always be very cautious about pushing up to make sure that nobody got behind you.
Yeah, I'll probably will not making too many runs, but I'll definitely be up there in the corner kicks. Hopefully.
Yeah. Like those corner kicks, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a big body. We like, I bring back littler guys that play in the midfield or maybe the defenders. I bring them back so they can defend and get those big bodies in there. So when we play a ball in, anything can happen when you have those big guys in there. They can go after it and get it. So.
I was thinking as the corner kicker, but you're talking about more
he's
in front of the goal.
Yeah, he's the one that's going to put it in there. Yeah.
I mean to tell you, we have had some defensive players that are, like you say, big and physical. And can cause a lot of trouble in front of that goal. So that's a good strategy. And you may have learned that from Colby Peak. That sounds like something he'd do. Now Colby, we've talked about this before, but he was your head coach in high school at Mesquite Poteet, and he was just been a big mentor. Has he talked to you since you had the head coach job?
Yeah, absolutely. He actually just talked to me about 2 weeks ago, and he goes, about 3 weeks till season, sends me a text message, and I go, yeah, man, I'm hopefully bringing your program back. We've been kind of in a fourth place, kind of third place stalemate for about 3 or 4 years now here, and hopefully this is our year where we take a step forward, and we kind of get in that first, second scene. We do good in our preseason, and we get back to where we belong. So. He's at McKinney Boyd currently right now. He's loving it over there. He had a big senior class just leave though, kind of similar to us. So he's doing some adjusting. They're still really well. I think they're ranked number 7 in 6A or something like that. He's still gonna have a really good group because he just has tons of club players and all sorts of players that play 3-4 times a week at high levels in Dallas. So he's gonna be good. They'll be good always, and it's good that he always checks in on me and texts me and sees how I'm doing. So.
Yeah, you talked about your emphasis on defense. He had a tremendous defensive team last year. They just almost never gave up a goal.
Yeah, they gave up, I think, about 11 goals all year or something like that. It was 10 or 11. I mean, that's remarkable. You play 26 games, you only give up 10 goals. I mean, that's something that I really hope that we can do, we can emulate this year, is because I'm really big on defense. We actually play a defensive mid. We play back four. There's plenty of defenders back there. You know, I like to sit and get really tight and not give up goals. I want to make sure that people are in the game and they're like, wow, those guys, like, we could just not score on those dudes, man. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, you don't give up any goals. You've got a good chance of hanging in there.
Yeah. You know, you just got to put one away, and if you can not give up any goals, just put one away and you're good to go. So.
All right. Let's take our second internal break and back with more soccer right after this. Back here on the Saturday Morning Coaches Show, and I would say we were just chatting about soccer. We're actually talking some football and all kinds of stuff here with Alexi Upton. As he was actually, you were a freshman or JV coach. You were a freshman coach, right? Mm-hmm. On the freshman staff, so you did a little football coaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It was a good time. You know, played a lot of good teams. Got to travel around, see different places. One thing.
What was your specialty? What were you?
I was doing receivers, and then I was doing D-line as well. So D-line kind of got thrown there because they needed it. But receivers was something I did back where I was at. I liked doing that. But yeah, one of the things I really love about coaching is I love just traveling around and see other people's places, other people's venues and stadiums, and how it is there. That's something that really excites me. So.
As you going around, who has some of the most impressive soccer fields that you've seen?
Ooh, soccer. I don't know. Everybody kind of plays in the exact same place that they play their football games at, so nothing really different.
I imagine if you've been over to the some of the Frisco facilities.
Yeah, some of the Frisco places are really nice. Hopefully we have a really great year, and next year we can get in the Frisco tournament. It's an invite-only tournament, and so I'm really trying to get a good year, have a good record and resume on ourselves, and be like, hey, we had a good resume. Can we put a slide in this tournament? Because that's a great tournament. The facilities over there at Toyota Stadium in Frisco are phenomenal. But I think other than like maybe colleges, UT Tyler and places like that have a really great soccer field. Other than that, everybody plays their soccer games where they play their football, high school games. So.
Right. Actually, a couple of seasons ago for Nicky, he took his team to UT Austin, and they were dedicating their new facilities, and it was just a beautiful soccer facility. So that was kind of special, a brand new facility like that. But you're right; those college facilities, something else. David, have you had a chance to analyze the district race, and what do you now? Mount Pleasant, I guess you've probably grown up playing those guys over there.
Yes. I'm seeing the new district. I feel like we have a good chance of, if not winning it, then at least getting up there. I'm sure that, like Coach says all the time, we have the potential to beat any of these teams. And I just hope that we actually perform.
Yeah, I think as I look at it's a small district. 6 teams, Coach?
Yeah.
And Greenville. Now they've had a really up and coming program. Are you familiar with those Greenville guys too?
Yes. Last year they looked really good, and I heard that they really didn't lose too many pieces. So it's gonna be a good game, good games actually. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right. We've also got Royce City and Texas High and Lindale. You know much about those guys?
Royce City and Texas High, we actually have played them a couple of times last season, but Lindale I'm not really too familiar with.
Lindale's kind of the new kids on the block for this district. Even I don't know much about them. I know their coach, and I've talked to him a little bit, but he doesn't even know his own identity yet. I talked to him about 4 weeks ago, and he was like, man, I don't know what we're gonna be. But us Greenville and Mount Pleasant is gonna be I think the 3-way dogfight at the top. But I wouldn't let it slip that Royce City kind of sneaks in that mix. I think they're gonna be a really good group. T-High,
with all the growth they've had, they're getting some great kid numbers and stuff.
Absolutely, to choose from. You were talking about me being a freshman football coach. Their freshman football group had about 90 kids in it. Yeah. I mean, just a tremendous amount of kids. I was like, when you have that influx of kids, you're bound to start getting better at sports. Because this kid's gonna be good at soccer, this kid's gonna be good at basketball, and you're bound to just get better and better. But they can sneak in. I think T-High can sneak in. Former coach Jesus De Leon, he went over there to coach girls. He actually flipped sides, and now he's doing boys over there.
Oh, yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah.
You just gave me a scoop this morning. How about that?
Yeah. So he's actually doing boys now there. So they're going to be a lot more disciplined and tactically smart. I think that's something that's kind of maybe haunted T-High for the past 4 or 5 years. And so I wouldn't surprise them to sneak in at 4, or sneak in at 3. Who knows? But district's strong. There's obviously a top 3 and a lesser 3, but the lesser 3 can go give you a game anytime. So we have to be on our toes every night and ready to play.
All right, let's take our third internal break. We'll come back and talk a little bit more soccer and wrap it up. But let's take another break here. Back in a moment. Back here on the Saturday morning coaches show, and we're talking Wildcat Soccer, and I guess we kind of you big 3 and little 3, and some of those little 3 like T-High you mentioned with Coach De Leon now, and we've held our own very well with Royce City. I know we scrimmaged them a lot and maybe played them, and it seemed like we've held our own well with them, but we held our own with Greenville until they just really had a group that stayed together for a long time and got very, very good, and had an incredible player that I think graduated last year.
Yeah, he I think it was 10 or 9. I don't remember. Obviously wasn't here last
Probably
year.
Probably 10. Isn't that the magic number in soccer?
That is the magic number. But he, the kids told me all about him. Phenomenal player. I think he had some like 18 goals or 20 goals. The guy that put some goals in the back of the net. He did graduate. Thank our stars. But regardless, we're gonna come out and play every game, regardless of whether they got a stud, Tony Bravo or not. We're gonna go out there and play every game and be defensively sound and then get in the attack and try to score goals.
Yeah, it's amazing. Sometimes a really good player can just raise everybody's level. Marshall had a fantastic kid a couple of years ago. They really had done nothing in soccer, but all of a sudden they got him, and they began to move up, to close to playoff potential and that sort of thing. He was a fantastic scorer, and if he hung around long enough, he was probably going to get a goal on you. But he's moved on. But that's just a good example how one kid can make a whale of a difference. So we certainly remember you mentioned Tony Bravo, and just from the beginning, Andy Holt didn't really, he was wondering, what do I have here and how best to use this kid. He even played some goalkeeper, I think, when he was a freshman. But eventually they said, that kid can put the ball in the net.
Yeah.
And I talked to Chris Espinoza, was a really good goal scorer for the Wildcats. I said, Chris, how do you do it? And he said, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he gets that ball and he finds the way.
It's like a quarterback in football or like a point guard in basketball. I mean, it's unexplainable. It's just that kid has that it factor. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing when you're a goal scorer and striker in soccer. I mean, they just have to have that it factor, and you can practice it, and you can do as many things as possible in it, and you can try to tinker in their mind as much as possible. But they just have to have that killer instinct, and they just want to score as much as they can and just shoot. So,
right.
Yeah.
Have you? I'm sure you have. Maybe with the tryouts and everything, have you got a set starting lineup, like, or are you still tinkering with that?
We're still tinkering in positions, here and there. I think there's a couple that may be set, a couple that might be written in stone, but I don't think anything's ever truly written in stone, because we get out there to the first game, who knows what's going to happen, who knows how we're going to, play, or this guy maybe doesn't really understand where he's supposed to be in his game setting, just things always change, things always are different, so, we're there, we're close, but, I don't think anything's written in stone quite yet. We still got some time to, really set ourselves in.
3 weeks, actually from yesterday, every time we do one of these Saturday shows, we're reminded that everything starts for you on a Friday, and so yesterday was the 7th, and you play on the 28th, so that's 3 weeks, that first Friday after Christmas. And another thing I was thinking about today is coming in with the weather like it was, and my first thought was perfect soccer weather. That's got to be something, isn't it? I mean, the cold and the rain, it's just, soccer is known for really, really terrible weather.
Yeah, the good thing is our preseason's kind of during the terrible time. It's December, it's all of January, it's early February. that's kind of the terrible time. The good thing is when we get into district and people come out and watch us in district play, that's usually middle, late February and a lot of March. By then, usually you're getting some 70s, some 75s, and the weather is getting better. So, you got to kind of endure it for about half the season. But then, the second half, the district half, is usually the weather's getting better and it's feeling nice. Some of those district nights are phenomenal, because the weather is like at 70, sun's down, and you're like, wow, it feels really good out here. It's a perfect day to play some soccer. So.
Back in our old district, they had a kind of a strange schedule where games were either played on like Monday and Thursday and maybe Tuesday and Friday or something. Anyway, we used to had an opportunity to do a lot of Saturday afternoon games over in the Prim, and it could be a gorgeous sunshiny day with everybody enjoying the sun and everything, and just really having near the end of the season you really hopefully by playoff time you really get into some warm games and that kind of thing, so it makes a difference. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it tickles me though. You've got an ice bowl on here, and there's usually a polar bear classic and
Arctic plunge tournament. Yeah, they're always got some weird, funny cold name. Yeah,
sometimes it's not too funny because it'll be 34 degrees.
It'll
when
be
you're
cold.
trying to go out there and play.
Yeah.
And we actually ran into a case where we picked up a forfeit several years ago because they had a school district policy that their students could not
play in the weather.
Go on the field if it was a certain temperature with certain wind and chill factor and all that.
There was
to a certain degree where they said no, our district will not allow us to play, and they forfeited some games.
When I was in school, there was a big push for that. Yeah. There was a lot of people that really started doing that. 2010 to 13, around that area. People started pushing for that, but then I think those kind of retracted back a little bit. They're like, hey, let kids play. It's they're kind of signing up for it, and they know what they're getting themselves into, and the coach is there to take care of them. And I think they respect referees and officials. They're gonna know when it's like ridiculously cold to call a game.
Yeah.
So.
Are they lenient on the uniforms and everything? I mean, can you wear like hoodies out there?
No, they are incredibly strict on uniforms. So you have to say your main shirt and shorts, and you
undershirt.
You can at least wear things under though. You can wear it as long as it matches the color that you're at. If you're wearing white, it's got to be a white long sleeve, and you can wear leggings, but it's got to be a white leggings. It's got to be.
That's what I guess they're trying to make sure they identify the right team.
It's
it's not a confusion about different colors and stuff like that.
It's a perfect match. It's kind of the same in football. It's a little cold in football. They're the same way in football. As long as it matches that, uniform that you're wearing for football, it's kind of the same thing. So.
All right. David, what do you think of this team this year? You think you got a good year coming up for this group?
Well, yeah. I always like to look at it in a positive way. I know that we have a young group, and there's a lot of people that probably don't expect too much, but I can say that from what I've seen and from what I've experienced with the team, we're looking pretty good. Hopefully we could turn that into the district games and these preseason games and tournaments.
It's a close group, guys like to hang out together and stuff, kind of like each other, as buddies and stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. The guys usually go to Muddy's on Wednesday to get them wings and stuff like that. We're a really close group. Around school we hang out around together, and even out of school we hang out as well. So.
I'll be walking in the hallways, and I'll see a big conglomerate of about 10 of them. They're all just in a little circle talking to each other. So it's a good group. They really like being together. They really like hanging out, and on the soccer field, you're always gonna butt heads, and you're gonna yell, and that pass was way out there, and come on, get a better touch, and things like that. But I think off the field, they do a good job of turning it on and off, and I think off the field they're really good friends.
I think my favorite soccer memory, I think it goes back to Tony Bravo's team. They had just won a big playoff game and probably getting ready to play you guys coming up in the next week.
Yeah.
But the players were so happy that the bus came by us and the players were singing at the top of their lungs, just having a great time on the bus. And there's nothing like a winning bus.
I'll tell you what, man. They're going to go absolutely wild if we can get a Mount Pleasant win.
Man, that would be huge.
If we can win at their place or win at home. I mean, these guys, they've for so long just heard about them, and they get put down by them, and so to take a step forward and go at those guys and say, hey, we're going to come at you and, we're going to take a win off you. I mean, it would be phenomenal. They'd be going absolutely wild. So.
Well, somehow I got the impression, even, like when Andy was here, that we kind of held our own with Mount Pleasant. I went back and researched it. Not the case. They have owned us from as long as I can remember, which I go back to the 06 season. Except I will say this, in 06 that was different because I think we beat them once or twice in district play and did pretty well against them. The only time we didn't was when it really, really mattered in a regional playoff game, and they ended up beating us to advance in the playoffs on a windy day over in Greenville, which they seem to have. The wind really blows over there in Greenville, and it was a windy one, and they ended up beating us. It was quite a surprise the way we had handled them. But after that, now we've had some success in tournaments. We've tied them, I think, in recent times, and maybe a couple of times we've earned a tie. But in the regular season, in district play, since we've been district foes for the last 3 or 4 years, because for a long time we weren't. They were in one district and we were in another. But we always played. The teams like to play each other. It was very competitive. But they have really, really dominated us, and yeah, if we pick up a win on them, that would be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're the guys that we're chasing, that we're trying to get after, and I hope for the best for us. I hope that we can go get after them and you can give them a show. They're going to be really good, ranked number 2 in the region, like I've probably said 100 times. So they're going to be ready to fly, and
always are.
I've talked to Coach Jason Mayfield over there, and he thinks real highly of his group this year. He had a lot of seniors last year that he got rid of, but they're a factory. They're really good at just creating more kids.
And he's been there forever. I can't ever remember another coach.
He's been there about 15, 20 years.
A long time.
And it's a factory there. He's got a great system, and he creates good players, and they just get better and better as they age, and so they're always going to be good.
First time I ever interviewed you, and the first thing was goal, beat Mount Pleasant. It already, and you got, when you think about if your goals are to win a district championship or something, you're gonna have to go through Mount Pleasant.
You got to beat the big boys and win the rings, win the chips. Right. You got to beat those guys because they're the guys that hold it. So if you want to take it from them, you got to go beat them.
Coach, we really look forward to seeing players like David play this year and see the Wildcats play, and I'll certainly get out there and do our best to bundle up and go over there, and I say that I'll probably be hiding in the press box.
It's warm in the booth. It's warm in the booth.
Yeah, I try not to emphasize that because those fans. I mean, I give them all the props in the world because they are out there with space heaters and they got blankets and just covered up. And it's just it can be 20-mile-an-hour wind. I asked Andy Holt one time, I said, what's the worst soccer game? And he remembered one that was, probably in the 30s with the wind. And he said the worst thing was it was like sleet and it kept blowing right in his face, and just, that's just, that's
it's
awful.
brutal. Yeah, hopefully, we have some great, family and, students that come out as well. And, it's going to be a little cold for the start, but, like I said, those district games will be just fine. They'll be they'll be nice weather, and so hopefully they get out and come support us.
Best fans, I mean to tell you, they are the best fans because they are always there. Just like all the good fans we have for our teams.
Absolutely.
But soccer is just a little different because of conditions, and we said they go through some really tough places. Those ice bowls and Arctic Classics and all that, they're well named. Usually it's very seldom you see those when it's 55 degrees and nice and sunny, on a rare January day or something, which we do have in Texas. But a lot of them earn the name.
earn the place.
Appreciate you guys being on today.
Yes, sir.
I might explain, we invited Joel Bailey today, but he had some family things to take care of, and I think they had some Christmas-related parties and stuff like that, family and stuff, and we certainly understand that. So, we missed Joel today, but we'll certainly have him back on. And the soccer season is approaching, so these guys might be popping up again. We certainly hope so. Meet some other members of the Wildcats team, and we hope to have basketball coaches next week. Haven't asked them yet, and no telling what kind of plans they have. It is the season, It is the holiday season. Let's wrap it up here with Alexi Upton and also David Marino. Glad to have them on the show today. And we appreciate you tuning in to us today, and so long, everybody.